Welcome to the K2 Sales Podcast. I'm your host, Karen Kelly. Every week, I'll be sitting down with a sales executive where they'll share their stories and experiences that produce game-changing results. Let's be honest, sales can be a tough game. I'm sure at some point, we've all delivered a less than stellar demo, been ghosted by a client or two, and sometimes maybe we did more talking than listening. And that's where I can help. The stories and insights our guests share can be applied to your own business, your territory, or with your team, so you're not reinventing the wheel. Our weekly tactics and strategies help you get out of your head and start creating your own path towards game-changing results. Welcome back to the K2 Sales Podcast. I'm your host, Karen Kelly. The goal of the show is to share game-changing stories our guests are experiencing with themselves, their team, or what they're seeing in the industry. And there's time to time that I come on here and I share what I'm seeing, and today is one of those days. And I really want to talk to you today about the importance as sales professionals of controlling the process. And when you think about, selling something to your audience or trying to get them to think differently about your solution or implementing your solution or even making a change, we're so focused on the initial purchase. So, we go through our qualification questions, our discovery, everything to get the deal. But from the customer standpoint, there's more to it than that. And if it were that easy, they would buy a lot quicker. But in their eyes, they need to see the full picture. They need to see what happens beyond the deal. And because people are risk averse these days. And I think sometimes when we paint this picture and we show them a product, it almost seems like it's too good to be true. So we need to control the process. Now, for those of you who are watching this, there's a visual here. And if you look at the pear as the product, so that's middle way of a teeter-totter. And A is where we're starting from. So we are trying to gather insights, do everything we can, uncover challenges, look at their current state to really intrigue them to buy our pear, whether it's a solution, product, or service. But that's where most people stop. And from the customer standpoint, they're saying, well, I need to see what B is. I need to know how when I purchase this pear or your solution or service, what does it mean for me, for my team? How much time do I need to invest? How is there any costs, licensing fees after the fact? And this is where I say you got to turn on that transparency card, because what you're painting is that future state, because it doesn't end when you partner with them or you sign the PO. That's really where it begins. And we have to be setting expectations of what happens after the PO. And this is all in the upfront selling part of, in the discovery, you're uncovering who's involved in the purchase, what kind of committee, what kind of implementation support and resources do they have. And the reason I'm asking that is because our team supports your team in these ways. You don't want any surprises after the fact that, oh, I didn't know this, and now I need more software. This doesn't integrate. you know, we need to make it very easy for them to buy. So my suggestion to you is obviously you want to get your product or service into, your customers' hands, that being the pair, but also in the selling, we have to sell beyond that. So the onboarding process. And what this does is it really shows transparency, which builds trust. It compresses the sales cycle because they see everything. You're not hiding anything. You're continuing to educate them. And you're probably standing out from your competitors because everyone is focused on that one sale and that's it. But any sophisticated buyer knows that the sale is the beginning point. It's not the end point. So how can we educate them? And just think about in your own experience. Have you ever bought something and you just think, my gosh, I wish I would have known that before, because now I need to buy a new computer that supports this. Now I need to update my software. There's so many implications that had they showed you what was involved, you might not have made the decision right then because there's a lot more cost. Maybe it's not a great time from a timing standpoint. Maybe you don't have the required resources. So you just didn't have that full picture. And I think, that for me personally, that damages a relationship because I want to know exactly what's involved. So to further differentiate yourself from others around you, to really connect with your audience and show them that I want you to be successful. And in order to do that, I'm going to show you, what it looks like to have our product. But then that next step, how do you use the product? How do you get it into the hands of your team? How do you upgrade the product? Because in some instances, this might be the very first time they've done this. So they may be even changing policy or procedure or guidelines of how they do work and business because of your solution. So you have to help them create these documents, create these, these are trailblazing initiatives that you're going to be working on because they're not done before. And this is where, acting as a consultant, a trusted advisor is really going to work in your favor because what you're doing is you're teaching them, you're educating them, and they like that. But your competitors are probably not doing it. They're stopping at the product, and I think once a customer or prospect here's your presentation, here's the full story of the current state and the future state, which includes the onboarding, and then they hear something different from your competitor who's only getting them to the product part, it stands out in their minds very quickly as to, wow, I'm really not getting the full picture here. They're not fully transparent. If they're holding back this, what else are they holding back? So, my suggestion to you is really educate them on the process to get to the product, but more importantly, beyond the product. And I can tell you, in my corporate sales career, there was times we actually were trying to give the software away at no cost and people weren't taking it. And I remember thinking, my gosh, if I can't give something away from free, how is anyone going to pay for it? But when I sat back and reflected on why they're not taking this, what dawned on me was they don't know what to do with it. So that future state, there was a big gap there. So it looked great, but imagine if I could show them what it looked like on their dashboard, how it integrated with their system, who on our team would support them, who is that, who are those people on their team? What are timelines? Are there any upfront costs? Are there any additional licensing fees? Just paint a complete picture of transparency, allow them to see exactly what's behind the screen so that there's no surprises. That's when people were going to buy because they have the full picture. And nobody likes to be uncertain of what that next step looks like. And you think about an ego standpoint, if you're dealing with executives and you're not painting that full picture, chances are they're not going to raise their hand and say, like, how does this, some of them might say, how does this work? But it's your job to really control that process and understand the emotions and perhaps the apprehension they're feeling around navigating uncharted waters. And you might be thinking, well, how do I do that in a virtual world? And it's tougher definitely than it is in a face to face. But if you can pick up on the spoken word, but more importantly the unspoken, what are they not saying? What is their, if their camera's around, what are their body language saying? So pick up on those cues and say, hey, it seems like this is something new to you guys. So I'm gonna start here. And typically a lot of people in your situation, this is what they're feeling. And we can understand that because it's a lot of change. But this is how we support you. And then you can walk them through the onboarding, the implementation, answer any questions, but you're also inviting them to co-create that solution. So what does this look like for you? How would you like to change this, to modify this, to meet your current needs, to support your current environment, work within the resources that you have, and just make it ours. So you're not throwing, a very rigid implementation program. You're inviting them to co-create it, and with that comes accountability, and it comes with ownership. They want to own that process because they're now part of it, but they can't own it if they don't know what it is. So next time you're having a customer call, make sure that you're educating them not just to that pair, that midway, beyond that. Give them the full picture, open the curtains and show them what's behind there so that we can manage their expectations. The last thing you want is, oh my gosh, if I knew I would have needed this, I never would have bought this product in the first place. That's not a great way to start a partnership or a relationship. It just shows that you weren't forthcoming or transparent, and educate them. But also, we know that people buy an emotion. So if you're picking up on resistance to change, um, lack of awareness or understanding of the process, this is your job. This is how you control the entire process, not just from the product, beyond the product. How does the product work? How do you upgrade it? How do you update it? All these things to really put them at ease. So next time you're having customer engagements, think about the full picture and make it easy for them to buy from you. So, thanks for listening, everybody. Good luck, and we'll see you next time.